Hello everyone, welcome to IoT Frontier. My name is Hariharnath. In today's video, we'll be talking about an important topic, that is private 5G. So in private 5G, we'll be talking about what is private 5G, various deployment types, and how it can be used as a service. And we'll also talk about various comparisons between private 5G and public 5G, and also an important question that whether private 5G will replace Wi-Fi or not. And we'll also talk about various use cases. So first, what is private 5G? So private 5G, if you talk about in technical terms, it is same as public 5G network, but in private 5G, in functionally, we can see there are so many other benefits that we get. For example, owner will have a priority access and he can control various things like what are the devices that can use the private 5G network and how much bandwidth they can be using, and also it can define the level of security and privacy. And private 5G is designed to provide the benefits as follows. As private 5G is privately used for your organization, so it can provide high performance and also low latency. And as it uses cellular communication, it will improve the coverage than the regular networks. And if you see, it can provide the reliability and scalability as well. And the data that we are going to use will be staying in the same network of private 5G and will not be going to the external sites. So because of that, it provides high security and privacy. Let's compare the private 5G. So first, we'll be comparing with public 5G. So if you take the feature-wise, the coverage of private 5G is only limited to your location or organization where you have deployed the private 5G. But public 5G will be available nationwide or regional wise. Second feature that we will talk about is number of devices that can be connected. So for example, here in the public 5G, we'll be having so many devices that are already using that network. But in private 5G, this is only specific for your organization. So you can connect so many devices. That's why it is mentioned as high, and here it is mentioned as moderate. So if you talk about reliability, so private 5G will provide you high reliability and it can guarantee the SLAs. Whereas in public 5G, it can only provide the moderate reliability because of the network congestion and interference of other devices that are going to be connected in it. And same way, the latency will be very low in the private 5G, and here it would be moderate, same as the reason above, that is network congestion and also the distance and interference. If you talk about security, the private 5G is more secure because, as I mentioned previously, the data stays on site and the network is isolated from external access. But whereas in public 5G, the data travels through public networks and it will be shared by multiple users. If you talk about spectrum, the spectrum in private 5G can use both licensed, unlicensed, or it can use the shared spectrum. So it all depends on the country and availability, also the cost that you are going to put in. If you use licensed, it will be very expensive. If you are going to use unlicensed, it will be free. But whereas in public 5G, we have to use licensed spectrum which are allocated by the regulators. So now if you see in pictorial representation of public 5G and on-site private 5G network, in the public 5G network, you can see the user equipment such as mobiles and the radio signals, 5G core and internet would be in such manner. Whereas here, the private one is physically isolated. It doesn't connect to external systems. So everything will be within your organization you have to manage. Here you can see the self-operation and management. So all the equipment and pieces of software where the 5G network is consist of, that can be managed by one's own organization. Now the important question comes that we have asked previously, is private 5G going to replace Wi-Fi? So my answer would be no, because this private 5G can complement Wi-Fi in areas where Wi-Fi cannot be served. So we'll be talking about the advantages of private 5G over Wi-Fi. The first one is data transmission. So the private 5G provides faster data transmission, lower latency, higher bandwidth than Wi-Fi. Because of these features, it can support more data intensive and time sensitive applications such as AR, VR, IoT, autonomous vehicles, drones, and robots. It can also be used in areas where Wi-Fi coverage is poor. For example, if you take an industry, it will be having acres of land. And if you want to serve both indoor and outdoor locations, then this Wi-Fi would be difficult to deploy at the place, because at that places private 5G will be very useful. Now let's talk about the use cases of private 5G. So here we have taken 3 use cases. The first one is manufacturing. So under the manufacturing, it supports robotics, AGVs, that is autonomous guided vehicles, which will be used for warehousing purposes, and the scanners, virtual reality remote devices. All these devices and applications will require reliability, and it will require both complete indoor and outdoor coverage. Because of that, private 5G is very famous. And if we talk about second use case, that is mining. If we talk about mining, as you know, it covers vast area, and it also needs the network, whichever we are going to deploy, would have to reach very deep into any kind of mine, just to provide safe and more productivity as well as sustainable mining operation. So all these can be feasible with private 5G. The third use case that we are talking about private 5G is to automate its operations of ports. If you use private 5G, it can create a more efficient and digitally connected harbor of the future. And same way as mining, because the ports will be covering huge area. If you want to serve those applications working in ports, then definitely we need to cover large area. So because of that, private 5G will be very feasible. Now let's talk about the types of deployment. The first one that we talk about is enterprise do-it-yourself. So that is dedicated on-premise network. Here you can see on-premise and what would be the backhaul and what would be the private 5G operators cloud. So here it is on-premise. So everything that you can see here, the user plane and also the control plane, both are available at this place. CP means control plane, UPF means user plane. So MEC will be mobile edge computing. And if we talk about the second type of deployment, it would be having multiple enterprises, but it can be maintained by a 5G operator cloud at a remote location. So it can do the remote maintenance. So that is the reason here we can serve multiple enterprises. So if we talk about the third one, that is 5G core control plane sharing, that is, if you can see here again 2 enterprises, but here the backhaul will be a leased line or internet, something near to 100 Mbps, and you will be having control plane at the 5G operators cloud, where it can do the controlling of these enterprises 5G network. So next, the fourth one, that is core sharing. So here you can see only the radio spectrum, that is RAN, radio access network, would be available at your premise, and remaining all the control features and user plane, everything would be available in the cloud. And if you see the cost, so the deployment cost will keep on reducing if you go to from 1 to 4, and also ideal will fall from 1 to 4. So you have to balance out based on your cost and requirements. Now let's talk about a feature that is called private 5G as a service. Nowadays we can see the clouds are providing you the infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and those many things are available. So just like that, we'll be having private 5G as a service. So what this can do is private 5G network as a service is an alternative to building, buying and managing a private mobile network, and it can provide a model in which 5G networks are designed, built and maintained by a provider on a subscription basis. So you don't have to buy the equipment, you just have to provide the subscription, so that they will provide you the service of 5G. So This will help the organization save money and focus on their core initiatives by reducing the construction and management cost. As you know, the equipment and the spectrum and those many things will cost you a much. So because of that, you can use as a service as well. So now let's talk about the cost. So the cost of private 5G depends on several factors. The main thing that it depends on is the spectrum and also the equipment. So first we'll talk about the spectrum. So if you talk about spectrum, if you use licensed spectrum, it will be more expensive. If you use unlicensed spectrum, it would be free and abundantly available. And if you want to use shared spectrum, then it will compromise the above. Next, next thing that is the equipment. So this is the second biggest part in the cost. So the hardware and software that we are going to manage for building this private 5G will also decide how much cost it will charge. To conclude, the private 5G can provide customized, secure and reliable connectivity, and it can also leverage different spectrum options to optimize cost and performance. It can adopt different operating models to enable flexibility and scalability. So that's it for today's video, and I hope you have liked this and gained some knowledge. If you like this video, please do subscribe and hit the bell icon. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.